Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. Sorry about my voice. I know it's gonna sound a little weird today. I'm in the Northeast and it is seasonal allergy time. So the buds have started budding and trees have started popping out with some of their first leaves, and so have my allergies. So anyway, I hope you're well. And I'm making this video today for a couple of reasons. Nick Manella, I hope I said that right, Manella. Anyway, love his YouTube channel. Great saxophone player, great educator. There's great content on that channel. So I highly recommend it. And he put out a video maybe last week, that referenced a Chick Corea interview about how to learn tunes, and talks about memorization versus knowing. And so I've been thinking a lot about that. And then also, Will Stonier, thanks again, Will, asked a question about Just Friends, the tune Just Friends, and if I had some thoughts about Just Friends as he's working through Just Friends and feels like he has the changes down, but wants to make sure that he's not like overcomplicating it, possibly. So like those two ideas have been in my mind over the last week. So I want to weave them together. I have back on the board here 3 words: identify, learn, know. So this really, as I'm thinking about how I learned tunes and how I still learn tunes, these are the 3 words really that come to mind. Now, in that video that Nick had on his channel, basically the idea is this: how do you know tunes? Not memorize, but how do you know? And really at the end of the day, it's time with that tune. You know, I know tunes that better today that I learned 30 years ago because I've been playing them for 30 years. So, you know, you cannot replace amount of time on tunes. So let's take this from a relational standpoint. You know, I'll use my wife, or you can, you know, whatever type of relationship that you have, meeting people, you identify things in the person that you like, right? You identify them, whether it's personality, intellect, good looking. My wife is good looking. You know, she to me is the most beautiful woman in the world. So there were things about her that I identified, that I knew that exist other places, but I identified them in this one person. And then that helped me then, as I was around her, I've learned who she is, okay? I learn her tendencies. I learn things that she likes, things that she doesn't like, how she's going to act in certain situations, how she's not going to act. I learn who she is. And so after almost 30 years of marriage, I know my wife. I know my wife, and she knows me. So what does this have to do with learning tunes? Well, Just Friends. This tune. To learn this tune, we need to identify some characteristics of this tune, and characteristics that we should know that are out there in the jazz universe in other tunes. And then, as we identify those characteristics, we learn the tune with these things in mind, and then we play it so much that we know it, okay? So let's get into Just Friends. So Just Friends, as Will said in his comment, this tune is unique in that it starts on the 4 chord. So I'm in the key of G. So it's gonna start on a C major 7. My melody note is the 3rd in the key of G, which is the 7th on a C major 7. Okay, now I'm gonna stop right now. This is the first thing that we should be able to identify. Okay? This is a big deal in this tune. A big deal. Major to minor. Now, if we really want to know what that is, 4 major to 4 minor, flat 7, and then flat 7 dominant. Back to 1. That is a common progression. We identify the things that we know, these traits about the song that we know. Now, C major 7, this is a 4 chord. C minor 7, F7. In jazz terms, this is called a backdoor 2-5. Again, I never knew about a backdoor 2-5 because Larry never said that. But that term has been around a long time. So backdoor 2-5. 4 minor, flat 7 dominant. But the big idea, major. So I identify that and I know some ideas. I know some ways to manipulate and move around that trait that I've identified, or in this case, that common progression. 4 major, flat, 4 minor, flat 7 dominant, or the backdoor 2-5. And then it goes on. Now, most fake books or lead sheets have this as flat 3, minor 7, to flat 6. So a 2-5 on the flat 3. Okay, it's actually like a 2-5 of flat 2, but like a chromatic 2-5. Not everybody plays it that way. Okay, so in most lead sheets, it's B flat minor 7 to E flat 7. Not everybody plays it like that. Some people will play this. Backdoor 2-5, 1, a B flat fully diminished. Now the scale that I would use on that would be the whole half, starting on B flat, whole step, C, half step, whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step, half. Now 2-5, 3-6. Okay, so that's a common progression. Again, I'm identifying 2, 5, 3, 6. Common. And that's a diatonic 2, 5, 3, 6. So I've identified, and I see that it's in this tune. Okay, so from the beginning again. Backdoor 2-5. Back to 1. I'll do the 2-5 here. B flat minor 7 to E flat 7. 2 chord. 5, 3. Okay, if I played this, or this, or this, any of those sounds, they would dictate to me, ooh, this is a 2 dominant. I've identified a very common thing here. We're going to 2 dominant. Then to 2, 5, and back to the 4 chord. Well, how am I gonna get there? Well, normally it would be, but some of the lead sheets have the tritone sub. So instead of G7 to C major, they do a tritone sub D flat to C major 7, which is the 4 chord in the key of G. Okay? So then I do the same basic progression. backdoor 2/5. I'll do the diminished here. 2 chord, 5. Now, some people do a different thing here. The lead sheets are going to have 3, 6, just like before. But some people will do this. Okay, so what's that? Well, that's going to be a 2, 5 to 6. So F sharp minor 7 flat 5 to B7 to E minor. Here's my 2 dominant again. 2 chord, 5 chord, 1. Okay, so I've now identified a bunch of common stuff. Major to minor. I've identified 2, 5, 3, 6. I've identified 2 dominant. By the way, the sound on a 2 dominant chord, this is an A7 chord, I'm going to use the first application of the jazz minor, which is going to be go up to the 5th degree and use that melodic minor. So A7 or A9. In this case, I'm playing an A13. There's my 13. I'm going to go up to the E and do that melodic minor or jazz minor. Okay, there's my 2 dominant chord. And then 2, 5, tritone sub. 4 chord, major. So here are all of the things that I've identified. Now, why does that help? Well, that's going to help me learn the tune because these are all traits. Like, for example, I can identify the color of my wife's hair. There are other people that have that same kind of color. I can identify that. But now I relate it to her. But I also could say, yeah, there are other brunettes in the world. Okay? There's other things that I can identify on my wife, that I know her, that are particular to her. But there are other stuff that I could say about her that would be true about other people as well. You know, she's 5'4", or whatever. So there's a bunch of traits in standards that we can identify that are true of that standard, but also might be true of other standards. So let me give you an example. The major to minor thing. What about this tune? And I'll do it in the same key. So I'm Glad There's You. Sorry, it was a little extended there. The tune I'm Glad There's You. We've already talked about the major to minor in Green Dolphin Street. Minor, major, minor. We've already talked about I'll Remember April. Common device. 2 dominant, common device. 2, 5 to 6 minor, common device. So if we're able to recognize all of those as we're learning the tune, we're now going to know what the tune, we're learning the tune. And I'm not just learning it, I'm not memorizing it now. I'm actually learning how it's constructed. There's a deeper understanding of the tune. I'm not just thinking, oh, it starts on a C major 7 and then goes to a C minor 7 to an F7. No, I've got a concept, major to minor. And it's a backdoor 2/5. Well, I know what that is. That's a 4 minor to a flat 7 dominant. I know what that concept is. I know what a 2, 5, 3, 6 is. I know what a 2, 5 to 6 minor is. So now I understand what these are. As I'm learning the tune, now I could actually transpose it, put it in different keys. And so then, now this last one here is pretty far removed from these. I can do these two, and I can kind of know the tune for a moment. And I can even remember some concepts of it. But to play it, to know it, and to really know it is almost to be able to play it unconsciously, right? Not even thinking about it, really. Now, obviously, I think, therefore I am. Thank you, Descartes. But there is an aspect of when you play, when you're the most free, is when you're not having to worry about, oh, what are the changes here? You just know them. You know the changes. You know the tune. You know the melody. You're able to take a break for 5 measures and not play and know exactly where you are. It's part of you. And that only comes from playing the tunes over and over and over and over. I know my wife a lot better after 30 years of marriage than I did after 3 weeks. Okay? There's a much deeper understanding of the tunes. So there's nothing that can replace time. Patience is really important. You need to be patient with yourself. To learn 100 tunes, to have a deep knowledge of 100 tunes, I don't. But to really know them, this takes a long time. Now, to give yourself maybe a little bit of a break, think about your favorite jazz artists and think, did they ever record the same tunes on different albums? Miles certainly did. Coltrane did. I mean, people have a little repertoire of standards that they really love and that they really know, so well. And they're the first ones that they'll call or record because they know them so well, they can do different things with them and not have to think about it, okay? So you're not gonna know 1,000 tunes. Maybe you do. But real deep knowledge of a tune is only gonna come with time, and be realistic about the amount of those tunes that you'll actually really know. Unless you're playing like 5 to 7 nights a week, a couple hours a night. I mean, realistically, to really know 50 tunes, that would be unbelievably great, really great. To deeply know them in like more than one key, know the progression, be able to talk about it without a lead sheet, to really know it, to be able to improvise over it in different styles, in different time signatures, that's real deep knowledge. And that only comes with time and practice, playing it over and over again. I'm gonna know my wife, Lord willing, even better in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, in the next 15 years. So it's only gonna grow deeper. Same thing with this. Your knowledge is gonna grow deeper over time. All right, long video, but these are the things I've been thinking about. So hope you're well, and I will see you soon.